Breaking news, folks. Breaking news. Not only did the SEC go after Coinbase, but they just now are seeking a restraining order to freeze all Binance.US assets. That's right. SEC wants to freeze your withdrawals. This is Around the Blockchain. Thank you for joining. Make sure you hit that like button because we have some phenomenal guests that have joined us today. We're going to go ahead and start on the top left. You can catch her at the Hash or on her own wonderful channel. Always putting out great content. It is Crypto Wendy. Oh, Wendy, thank you for the retweet.
Make sure you guys watch the Forever Frenemies show.
Forever Frenemies podcast, making waves, folks. Also on today, we have Randi. Make sure you always check out her content. I think she just did a cooking stream. Am I mistaken?
No, you're not. I baked cookies and talked some Bitcoin on Friday. It was a great stream. Might do it again. Thank you for noticing, DZ. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
and thank you for having me. It's great to see you.
Always a great time. Also on today, he's rocking the yellow. He's rocking the Kill Bill colors. Maybe he'll bring out a sword against some of these bad regulators. It is Crypto Factor. Catch him at MC Pauly D. But not Pauly, that is the DJ. But hey, you're a DJ as well, right? Okay. Well, might be muted there. We're assuming you're going to say, yeah, of course. I was the best all around, best of this side of the Mississippi.
I just want cookies. Man.
Hey, check out her stream. She has the recipe. Also on today.
She was going to give me cookies first. Me and Lo.
You know what? I'm still just waiting for some tacos. Also, we have Tom Crown. Tom, nice painting you got there behind you. How are you doing? I heard rumors that used to be a particular type of boy back in the 90s. Is that a real rumor?
I'm just starting a trend, man. That's what I do. Have you noticed these shades, boxy sunglasses? They're coming in. FOMC meetings coming in. So I'm starting a special Friday event. I'm just a trendsetter, bro.
All right.
Good to be back, DZ.
Setting trends. And if you want to set a trend, again, please hit that like button. But let's get right into the SEC. Of course, they have sued Coinbase. We're going to get into the Binance.US stuff as well. But first, one day after suing Binance, then they go after Brian Armstrong and Coinbase there. It's part of the civil case of Gensler's push to assert jurisdiction over the crypto markets. Because remember, on Tuesday, he labeled it a wild west of investing. Paul Grewal, though, Coinbase's legal counsel, they had a response there, and they're saying, hey, guys, we have demonstrated commitment to compliance as we continue to operate as usual. We've been doing this for years. But then that is not all, guys. I know the plot just keeps thickening. We had 10 U.S. states also file some legal action against Coinbase for some alleged law security violations there. Stock down as much as 20% in pre-market trading, and there's at least 13 crypto assets that they're going after, including famous ones like Solana, Cardano, and Polygon. Well, we have this Binance and this Coinbase suit. Seems to be two different strategies here. Also, Binance US. Now, Crypto Factor, do you see Binance and Coinbase playing out in the same manner? Or are they going to have two different strategies to attack the SEC?
Well, first of all, they're going to have to defend themselves against the SEC. What Gary Gensler, what the SEC is doing here, I think they're trying to get negotiating leverage. They know they're not going to win all these cases. What Gary's going for is to get some cryptocurrencies to become securities. He's trying to get some of them not. He's just playing the game. He's trying to get leverage. Yes, he's trying to take. It's basically a power play, and he's going to take what he can get. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Ripple lawsuit is about to settle, or they won, or they know something we don't know as well. Now, as for the strategies, I think Coinbase is definitely going to hit head on. As for Binance, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure because I think they're two different entities, but it's a bit kind of weird with Binance US, and then you have Binance Main, and it's kind of weird. Now, I'm not going to lie. I used to be marketing director of a fully licensed and regulated crypto exchange, and about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we said that Binance is doing something a little shady, opening up different offices as an exchange in different countries, and basically doesn't have licensing for all of them. Of course, everybody started shouting FUD, everybody started shouting this and that. But listen, there's always gray areas. You can't operate, even if you wanted to, 100% in one direction the way things are set up, the way things are regulated, the way there's no clarity right now, it's almost impossible. But yeah, we'll
It
see
is
what happens.
impossible.
But yeah,
Well,
it's
well, well,
going.
Tom.
Well, it's not if you're in Europe, because
Yeah.
we were fully regulated and licensed. I mean, but in places like US right now, it's insane.
All right. Well, Tom, I'm gonna put you in the unique position of potentially defending Gary Gensler's words here. Is it unfair to call crypto a wild west of investing?
Oh, Wild West or not, I mean, they have to prove that these things are securities. They have to prove there's wrongdoing. I feel like that's a distraction from everything. Wild West, I mean, yeah, it's a Wild West, but that seems like just not even related to the whole thing going on. I think we should be reminded that the SEC reviewed Coinbase and approved them to IPO in 2021. And now 2 years later, they're going to turn around and say, oh, you're offering all these securities, blah, blah. The whole thing is a mess. They're going after the two biggest powerhouses in crypto at the same time. And they're doing it on taxpayer dollars. There's no other source of them. Or maybe, the FTX funds that they're going to be taking out of FTX, which is basically just coming out of taxpayer pockets again. Gary's a joke right now. What are they thinking? There's no way that they're going to go after CZ and go after Coinbase and win these at the same time. Especially, how could they even have the legal counsel to cover that much is mind-boggling to me. It just seems like a giant coordinated FUD.
All right. Yeah, I would definitely suspect a little coordination here. 10 states, multiple suits, all happening, around in a 48-hour window there. It looks a little suspicious. Well, we did have some breaking news, and Wendy, I'm going to go to you for this. The SEC, this is just minutes ago, filed motion to freeze crypto held by Binance.us. I'm going to read just a couple things from here. They asked the court to freeze assets tied to their holdings here. These are the holdings, off of Binance.us. One more thing. The SEC respectfully submits that this relief is necessary to ensure the safety of customer assets and prevent the dissipation of assets, given Binance US's years of violative conduct, disregard of the laws, and evasion of regulatory oversight there. Now, Crypto Wendy, can you unpack that us just for a little bit? Is it, I asked Tom, was it unfair to label it Wild West? Well, is it unfair to say they have a little disregard of the laws and evasion of regulatory oversight? What are your thoughts?
So this is what's problematic about it, okay? And again, I'm not saying that Binance is, 100% in the right, or Binance US or CZ. I am simply playing the devil's advocate here, because all I keep seeing, and I've been covering it the entire bull market, was bad things that were said about those parties. We never saw anything bad said about FTX, not once. And even after FTX defrauded customers and did terrible things, we still don't see bad things about Sam, Caroline, where the heck is Sham Traboko, Jam Fishberg, whatever the heck that guy's name is. So this is where it starts to get problematic. Binance opened up a United States subsidiary. I like to view these things kind of like franchises. That might not be the proper way to explain it, but that's how I look at them. It's like they're not directly owned by Binance, but they're kind of like a franchise. For example, there's McDonald's that's owned by McDonald's, and then you open up a McDonald's franchise. So you're still kind of tied together. So the issue is Binance US was opened and created to kind of abide by US laws, to offer, because Binance offered traditional financial products like leverage and margin and all those things that, not that poor people didn't have access to in the US. So Binance US says, we still want to have, or Binance says, we still want to have some skin in the game. We're going to open up an exchange that pretty much suits what we think is the right thing to do in the US. And they didn't have a whole lot of tokens listed there either. So when I read this happening, I understand why the SEC is claiming that they want to do this to protect users, but really, are they protecting users, or are they just trying to wreak more havoc and cause more damage so people think that it is the crypto asset industry as opposed to the actual SEC? Because let's face it, what has the SEC done properly in America? The fact that they do want to freeze or potentially freeze some of Binance US's assets, that translates to me that they're going to freeze customer assets as well. So let's say you're actively trading on the platform, you haven't seen any of the news, and you can't get out of a position, or you can't get access to your funds. And again, you guys, you shouldn't be keeping any of your funds on any centralized exchanges ever, unless you're actively trading. You understand the risk. or you're buying those assets and moving them off. But this to me sounds like that could potentially hurt retail more than it's actually protecting, because I'm not understanding how this is going to be a good thing. And again, remember when Voyager filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, Binance US was supposed to step in and, acquire the company. Customers would have gotten approximately 70% back of their assets. SEC stepped in and said, nope, you can't do that. And now Voyager is going to be forced to liquidate because of regulatory uncertainty. So customers, retail traders and investors, taxpayers, law-abiding American citizens are getting only 30% back and getting screwed further. It is not okay in any way, shape, or form. Again, you guys, this has not happened yet. They still have to get access from the court to do so. So I would consider probably getting your stuff off of all centralized exchanges as fast as you can.
All right. Great stuff there. Like you said, it affects everybody. Could even be affecting viewers at home right now. Hit that like button or leave a comment if you have been affected by any of these exchanges being brought down. Well, speaking of exchanges being brought down, Coinbase's stock has been brought down quite considerably. It looks like it plunged as low as 20% in intermarket trading this morning. I was looking at the all-time peak. I believe it was 435. It fell roughly around 88%. Almost 90%, Randy. So we see a huge reduction in their market cap. Well, I see a bet on Coinbase stock pretty binary. I would say you go out 5 years, they're either not going to exist because the government shut it down, or it will probably be the number one or number two centralized exchange in America, if not the globe. What do you think about Coinbase stock? Is it an attractive buy now that it's down 90%, or could it still fall another 90%?
When it comes to stocks, you can never really know because I feel like it's not a free market and there's always people ahead of you, right? So if you were looking at the bank stocks like First Republic before it went to actual zero and JP Morgan acquired it, it got halted 9 times in one day. To me, that's just them trying to control the market. The same thing with GameStop and AMC stock when those were popping off. The stocks were going up so much that they had to halt it because it was actually the worst day for the hedge funds. So I think it's whatever the hedge funds want is what the market's going to do. And that's like sad to say, but that's just how I've been seeing the stock market in general compared to crypto. Now, I do see that Coinbase could be potentially a buying opportunity if you think a bull market is going to come. And you think that obviously Bitcoin stocks, Bitcoin miner stock, Bitcoin exchanges are going to do well. I also do think that, again, anything could happen when it comes to the stock market. So really nothing is guaranteed. I'm not really shocked by Coinbase going down the way it is, but it was trying to rebound when I last checked. When I last checked, it went down 20%. Then it was up another 5%. So people were trying to come in, buyers were trying to defend it. We're going to see how that ends up going, but you never know with the stock market. I think if Coinbase could pull through, especially because they just went with the class action lawsuit that kind of got disputed with the SEC, then Coinbase tried to sue the SEC recently, trying to give us regulatory clarity, demanding regulatory clarity. They didn't want to give it to us. And then now they're coming out with all of these things. So it's just not predictable.
Quick follow-up. If you were to do a stock, say you have that boring relative who just wants to buy stocks on Robinhood, would you rather buy an exchange stock or would you rather buy a Bitcoin mining company stock?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I would probably maybe go with the miners just because the miners seem to be more profitable nowadays, especially because there's going to be so much demand for Bitcoin because of what's going on. The banking crisis isn't over yet. If you're looking at all these bank stocks, they're still down like 90%. They're not really recovering. Over 722 banks lost over 50% of their capital within the first quarter of the year. It's now halfway through the year. We're really not getting many updates. So I think the need for Bitcoin and the need for people to transact and hold their own value is only going to continue to increase. And I think the miners are obviously the reason why we have the decentralized ecosystem that we did. So I would support the miners because, again, anything can happen with the regulations with the exchanges. They're targeting exchanges more than they're targeting the miners right now because this whole energy argument is kind of being thrown out the window.
All right. Well, I'll tell you something I won't throw out the window. That is DZ's link bag. I know when's the last time we have talked about Chainlink? I try to bring it up every opportunity I can. This time we have a real reason, folks. They just teamed up with Swift. Remember we were talking about Swift a lot about a year ago. Swift and Chainlink with tests connecting over a dozen financial institutions to the blockchain networks. I'll just throw out a couple of the bigger names here. BNY Mellon. Maybe you've heard of that one. Oldest bank in America. Also Citibank. Clearstream, and Lloyd's Banking Group. So we're talking about some fairly large institutions, legacy institution here, folks. They're going to do 3 tests. First test, use Swift, move assets from wallet to wallet on the ETH testnet. Second test, from wallet to a different wallet from ETH to a permission chain using Swift. Third and final, from ETH to a public chain using Swift there. Chainlink's co-founder, Sergey Nazarov, if our industry is going to grow past the single-digit trillions, then banks have to come in. And in reality, I think it'll be the banks that grow the blockchain industry past 10 trillion. Now, Crypto Wendy, I mean, we've probably been talking about Chainlink 2 years ago. You know, I'm a big fan of Chainlink. I rode it all the way to the top. Didn't sell at the top. I kept my giant bag. My whole bag was the moon bag there. It didn't put in a second all-time high in October, November of 2021. It peaked in the first half of 2021. The question to you is, can Chainlink have a second hype cycle, or is it just too established to get a new wave of investors?
To be honest with you, I think it most definitely can have another hype cycle. I think that it does sound like a very solid project. People seem to like it. They've got a great community. And it does actually have valid use case to do the whole cute little Oracle thing and now this news. So hopefully we'll see another cycle. But right now, just considering all of the very, very kind of dark, gloomy fundamental analysis regarding the crypto asset industry, I would just be really, really cautious. And I would tell everybody to not call for any of these crazy, insane targets because we don't really know what the future is going to hold when it comes to regulation in the US. I mean, for example, look at XRP. And look at the case with Ripple versus SEC. Because of that case, I do believe it caused some price suppression. And I do think that XRP holders were impacted negatively because of what the SEC did. I understand that XRP is something that can be, traded and bought and sold, whatever it is, on a global scale, and that the US is kind of like a small piece of the puzzle. But at the end of the day, when the SEC does decide to go after a particular entity or product or service, it can cause a lot of issues in the long run. I think that XRP would have had a lot more positive price action if we didn't see the SEC act unscrupulous like they did.
All right. Well, we have a picture. Here's Sergey on the left, and on the right, I can't tell if that's a Bond villain or one of the lead devs at Chainlink Labs there, but very, very svelte there, very fashionable in the tight black pants there. All right, Tom Crown. You're always talking about Gary Gensler. I see you doing FOMC, live streams. You talk about the Fed a lot here. So I want to ask you about the big banks' impact with Swift and Chainlink Labs in particular. Do big banks coming in, is that a positive sign to you or a negative sign to you? What's the Tom Crown breakdown?
Well, I want to yell about Gary some more. I won't, because we're changing topics, but it does seem like he loves protecting us from gains, Gary. So big banks coming in, so this is an inevitable step in crypto. It's always been, adoption is going to be from basically the ground up, or the smallest actors to the biggest actors. So it's just another hurdle in the crypto evolution for sure. I don't know that much about this specifically, Link and Swift, but one thing I will note that is very positive and very compelling to me is that Swift itself has published this article. A lot of the time when you hear these partnerships, you hear Apple's going to use whatever coin. It's kind of just a tweet, or maybe they bought ad space or something.
They're almost embarrassed sometimes. So sometimes they're embarrassed to be involved with the blockchain. It'll be buried in small italicized font.
Right. But this is right off Swift's webpage. This is directly from them. This is not like the 800th Walmart partnership or something. This is really happening, at least according to them. And that's the only source that, there's any reason to trust. So I think this is inevitable. I think it's probably not what we want in the short term. This isn't like going to moon us, and it's not really, it's something we're comfortable with, the centralized banks coming in, but it is inevitable. They're, what do they say? They make fun of you, they fight you, and then they join you, whatever that saying is. This is the joining part. It's just happening slow. It's hard to see happening in real time.
Yeah, I actually pulled up the Swift headline right here. Swift explores blockchain interoperability to remove friction from tokenized asset settlement there. All right, well, let's see. Randi, I want to ask you, it seems like banks want to get involved. They're leading with, I think it's the Goerli testnet on Ethereum. I'm going to ask you about a little thing in the future here. I remember trying to wire money. I'm a little bit old. I remember trying to wire money on E-Trade, I think probably 15 years ago, so I can buy some stocks on, I think didn't even have an app then. I think I had to pull it on desktop there. In the future, do you think banks will not only do wire transfers, will you be able to go there and send ETH to another wallet?
Well, I think people are just going to send ETH with their own wallets. But I think if there's have to be, I guess, a centralized gateway, because I do think banks are going to start adopting Bitcoin. We already saw this during the last bull cycle where banks were coming up with their own custody services. The NASDAQ is even planning for their Q2 2023 Bitcoin and crypto custody services. So it's only inevitable that banks step in, and maybe you could send the crypto from one person to another because the banks might end up having to need reserves in order to service people. Because if you even look at what JP Morgan was doing, the biggest haters in crypto, but it was so under the covers that they were allowed to offer people Bitcoin and crypto services only if you asked them. And that was years ago. So many banks are going to jump in anyway. You're seeing banks jump in for CBDC trials, like the New York Federal Reserve in November did a pilot program. You're seeing cryptocurrencies be used by even JP Morgan and 6 other banks joined with Indian banks to use blockchain for tokenized assets, sending transfers. So this is all inevitable. It's just a matter of what Tom says. They fight you, they laugh at you, then they finally join you and say, okay, now this is how it's going to work. The thing is, they're all fans of blockchain, but they're not really fans of things that people have control of over themselves, right? Like they don't really like DeFi. They're trying to keep it as centralized as possible. And you can see that within this Chainlink partnership, where it's not really for the public blockchain. It's more so mixing the public with the private. And that's where it kind of gets tricky, where we have to watch out how these relationships form and how far they really go into the private sector, and how maybe it could try to deter us from the decentralization to more centralization, if that makes sense. So we just have to watch out for how that's all going to work.
All right, I would agree with everything. One little pushback, I do think mostly people use their own wallets. I think you have some percentage uncomfortable, and I think you'll have some percentage of transactions they'll maybe force you to use the bank. For instance, a down payment on a home, or maybe investment in
Exactly.
a particular corporation or something. All right, final.
Yeah, that's why I said they're going to end up needing the reserves, because people are going to want to transact, because all of these banks, what they're doing internationally is that they're tokenizing all of these assets. So inevitably, yeah, you're going to want to buy a house with blockchain. You have the deed, you see all the things that happened in the past. It's going to be really useful.
All right, I just want my mutant to be on my license. That's all I want. All right, Crypto Factor. Final question on this topic. I just want to keep it open and broad for you, because I really don't know your opinion on this subject. What is your Chainlink analysis overall as a company, and maybe potentially price action for the future?
Oh well, it's very simple, DZ. I mean, if Swift starts getting involved with Chainlink, we're gonna have a $10,000 Chainlink overnight, and maybe
Wait,
25,000.
will that bring
Maybe there's a little
XRP up
resistance
to
to 500.
589?
Maybe exactly. Maybe there's a little resistance there, but I think it's going to shoot up. You better go buy right now while you still have the chance, because it's going to be too late. You're going to be late to the game anyway. Listen. So look, first of all, banks do want to get involved in cryptocurrencies, and yes, I do think you're going to be able to go to a bank and send cryptocurrencies. That's the whole thing with ISO. By the way, what they're trying to implement is one of the factors of that. Also, Swift is a messaging service, and Chainlink is helping facilitate that as an oracle within the blockchain. That's my opinion on that. I think it's going to do very well. I think it's a great utility. I'm pro Chainlink. I love Chainlink. I did sell though, and I am looking for a chance to buy back. I just hope I have that time before it gets to 10K. But basically, no, but banks are going to get involved, and it's a way for them to control cryptocurrency. It's a way for them to get KYC AML control. And doing it through a bank is where they're trying to move the industry. And that's why a lot of banks around the world now have the okay, for lack of better terms, to be able to work with cryptocurrencies. That's what they're going for. And I'm not sure if this Chainlink deal with Swift is a proof of concept deal, which most partnerships are proof of concept. Most XRP partnerships are proof of concept in the sense that XRP literally pays the banks so they can do a proof of concept. It's not a bad thing. It's a great thing, but it's not what people read it as or interpret it as. But I think it's a good step in the right direction, and I think that's where we're going.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Bringing up the paid sponsorships or partnerships. It's not a thing that a lot of people like to talk about, and to to play devil's advocate against my own bags here. Chainlink, I don't know anyone they don't partner with, to be fair. So you see that, hey, we have our partnerships. You're always going to see the nice little Chainlink logo. I think we maybe even have a picture of it in. Wait, this is a actual view of the Chainlink blockchain. I think this is a live view.
Yeah.
We got inside like Tron there.
Yeah,
You're
I
not
think
Tron.
that XRP army is going to go crazy, by the way, after what I said.
It will happen. All right. Well, speaking of, a rabid fan base, let's talk a little Apple right here. Apple maybe even ignoring the metaverse with their new VR set that they just released. It's called the Vision Pro. Price tag of $3,499 is marketed as their productivity and media device. Some people a little bit disappointed. They're hoping maybe even the mention of the word metaverse. They didn't say metaverse one time, especially after the rumors. Again, these are just rumors that Decentraland and Apple are potentially partnering up in the background. This is only off of Decentraland's co-founder's tweet. I believe he said, we're teaming up with a large tech. Well, I have the quote here. We are teaming up with a large tech platform, a major tech company, to bring its platform to a wider audience. A lot of rumors that it's Apple. No one knows for sure. Just a little bit of the specs. I don't want to talk about the chips and stuff, but 12 cameras, 5 sensors, 6 microphones, and 4K resolution per lens, giving it an 8K resolution there. Now, Crypto Wendy, I mean, we could talk about, it's a corporation into the blockchain. Pull up that meme one more time. Actually, I do want to. I just want to bring up a blast from the past. Remember, they used to say you can't get too close to a TV. Well, nowadays it's you glue the TV to your eyeballs, I guess. Well,
That's
Crypto
good.
Wendy, is this going to be a game changer? Is Zuckerberg, shaking with his bottle of Sweet Baby Ray's? Is Microsoft scrapping all their plans and starting from scratch here? Is this going to be the killer VR goggles that everyone wants to wear?
So I talked about this a little bit on my show. I think that the timing that they want to release this is a little bit interesting. It is in the middle of a crypto bear market, and the price is, what is it, $3,500 for this? Is that correct,
Yes.
Easy?
Yeah, $3,500.
That seems like a lot of money to spend while we're kind of in a recession and people can't afford to pay their bills, and 4 out of 10 Americans have to cut back on food purchases. So I don't know. I feel like there's going to need to be some time before this completely becomes mainstream. I probably will not be buying it for my daughter. I don't really see a need for it. But I guess if the kids want to play and they want to have fun and do all the things, good for them. I think of the timing they dropped this was a little bit bizarre. That's all.
All right. Well, Randi, do you expect Web3 integration with the Apple VR set?
I think eventually, maybe not right away, because I think they don't want to scare people. I think they want to just get people in the gaming system, just like Meta, right? They didn't really do much with, a lot of things that they could have done to put themselves ahead of Apple and make all of these kind of metaverse connections instead of going with their own. But I do think Apple sees the need for it. We already know that during the last bull market, NFT and crypto gaming was a huge thing. And a lot of people wanted to integrate their services with Apple as well as Meta products like the Oculus, but it was just a lot more difficult with that. So I think Apple kind of already opened the doors to crypto just a little bit and said, just give us our 30% and we're okay with you guys doing things. So I think Apple could definitely be receptive in the future. There are already rumors in the past about Decentraland and a few others maybe working with Apple. I think it's inevitable, just maybe not at the beginning. They want to get those sales in. They don't want to cause too much speculation, because at this point, people hear crypto or they hear metaverse and they get scared and they're like, oh no, are these tokens, are these bad? Is my Apple going to get hacked or anything like that? All these things that a lot of people maybe just don't know about. I could picture Apple bringing it in, doing some light education, a little sprinkle of here's a token, here's a skin, this is how you work it, and build in some sort of Apple wallet.
Okay. Quick. Well, will there be an Apple coin, Randi?
Ooh, I think there could be some sort of stable coin or something that you could use across different platforms. Because think about it, you already kind of had that railway. When I was younger, all I wanted for Christmas, Daisy, I did not want a toy truck. I wanted an iTunes gift card. I wanted to go on the Apple store. You already went to Walgreens. You basically bought a virtual money right there, because then you scan the QR code with your phone, enter the code or whatever you had to do, and you had virtual money on a virtual app store where you buy virtual games. virtual assets and virtual tokens within the games that you could then use. The only difference is that you didn't own them, they weren't transferable, and there was already basically the digital money within Apple was already their digital currency. So I think eventually they could just say, oh, hey, you buy $100, that's 100 Apple coins. And you could use that throughout different games and different apps to buy the apps, buy the assets, and then spread them around and buy assets from different people.
All right. Yeah. I'm just picturing that little kid wearing the goggles, at the mall, at the Walmart, at the DMV line, screaming to his mother, I need more V-Bucks, while entrenched. He's on the battle bus. He's on the battle bus. All right. Now, Tom Crown, I actually have a picture of a user who didn't watch your stream. I think this is a live photo. They didn't watch your stream and they had a losing trade there. Clearly, this was not the right move for them. But can this Apple VR, similar to what ChatGPT did to AI, can this ignite a bull run with metaverse tokens?
I don't know. I don't know if it has anything to do with metaverse tokens, but I do have a few points about Apple in this move. So there's another company that was very successful with NFTs throughout the entirety of the bear market, and they were successful simply by calling them digital collectibles, and that's Reddit.com. Apple is a smart company. They hit an all-time high in their stock in the middle of a bear market yesterday. Investors are into this. Do I think the average person is going to buy it? It's $3,500. The average American doesn't have $1,000 in savings. Maybe they'll rack up the credit card for it. I don't really see that happening in mass. What I do see is Apple is bringing a great product, I assume, just by looking at it. And Apple has high quality of products in general. And you compare it to, say, the Oculus, which is absolute garbage. I don't know if you guys have one. I have one. It's terrible. I'll just say it, it's terrible. I think they're bringing what the future, it's the future in the sense of this is the way consoles are going to go, in my opinion. They're going to start trending towards this. Our phones probably going to start trending towards this too. It's all going to merge into one device. But Apple is a very intelligent company that makes very solid products. This might be a miss if it comes to like absolute sales, how many people own them, but it's in the right direction. And they're almost certainly going to come out with, the light version in a year, 2 years, whenever their date is, probably like a few years after. This is the evolution of it. And I think Apple's in the right direction. I think they're avoiding using the word metaverse, but it is a metaverse. Remember, metaverse has really nothing to do with crypto. It's simply like a video game. It's just a world outside of our own. So this is very much a metaverse. I think they're intentionally avoiding the word because it, just as Randy was saying, it has bad press right now.
All right. Well, I have a picture of me in the metaverse. This is me clicking the like button, folks. Make sure you also click the like button there. Maybe it was me. I don't know. Final question here. Now, Crypto Factor, I might need to be fact checked on some of these numbers, but I did some research in Apple's first gen products. The first personal computer that they release in today's prices, adjusted for inflation, $60,000. The first iMac, I could be wrong, but I believe adjusted for inflation, $17,000. This coming in, it is $3,500. Is this out of line what you expect from an Apple product? And, how do you think the sales are going to be?
All right. So I was about to say, before you asked that question, I was about to say that Apple is not expecting to sell a lot of these devices. It's a 10-year play. They want to be first in the market. They want to get the press on it. It's also a marketing move. And basically, is it going to be games or is it going to start with movies, right? So there's so many directions this can go to. Now, it is indeed true they don't want to associate themselves with crypto right now, and that's why maybe they're avoiding the word metaverse, or maybe they want to make their own concept on that, which is a metaverse. But basically, even gaming companies, and I know this because I work with a gaming company that works with gaming companies, they test NVIDIA and so on, they really don't want to be associated with crypto. There is a gamer's hate towards cryptocurrency. I know we hear a lot of bullish news, but we don't hear all the negative news. Because we're in crypto, we want to hear the good news, right? We kind of ignore all the bad news, or we don't get it generally. And vice versa when it comes to other industries. But this is a power play for Apple. It's great marketing. They got eyeballs on them. They probably got a lot of advertising out of it without having to pay much for it. It's a 10-year play, as I said. It will get cheaper over time, just like everything else. That's where I was going to before. The first computers that come out and so on, they always get cheaper over time. And this is their goal here. That's what they're trying to do. And they're very effective at doing it. As Tom Crown said, they're extremely smart. They hit all-time highs in the bear market. I mean, they're doing amazing, and they're going to bring a lot of amazing stuff. But keep in mind that it might not just be games. It actually might be movies. It might be interactive courses. It might be a whole bunch of stuff that we haven't even anticipated yet first before the actual game. Or they may go for the games as well. We don't know. We'll
Yeah, in the pictures, they're like blowing up iMessages. Like, oh yeah, when I pull up my messages, I wish it was 8 feet tall. You know, that's what I'm always constantly telling myself there. Crypto Factor, do you have any quick thoughts on or theories? Why do you think gamers hate the crypto community?
Well, they're just not fond of it. They so basically, first of all, they don't understand it. Second of all, it's how can I put this? It's a culture and attitude, and I know that sounds weird, but it's a culture and attitude. They don't want their industry being messed up by an outside culture. This is what I'm getting at anyway, from feedback, from talking to people, and so on. They just don't trust it. They don't like it. They don't understand it. But it's mostly a culture thing. Like how you know how in cryptocurrency we don't like centralization. We say XRP is a banking coin and it's centralized and we don't want it and blah blah blah. Well, that's kind of the same effect we're getting from gamers and companies. They just don't like it. And if you look at the forums and you look at the comments, they really speak badly about crypto. They really speak badly about NFTs. They really don't want it. Now, will this change over time? Inevitably, when they start understanding it, once you start drip feeding it, once to that direction. But it does take time. It takes time for someone to be able to accept it. I mean, it took a court case with the SEC, and most people a lot of people that were bashing XRP are actually on their side. It will take time. It will change over time, hopefully. And yeah,
I have a quick theory. They're salty over us buying all the graphics cards in 2020 and 2021.
That's 100%.
I've seen the nerds in line with the tents waiting.
Extremely pissed off at that.
Yeah,
Be nice to the dweebs.
I just think
like
it's also that I just think we're just really early with crypto gaming, because if you know about crypto, like gaming's huge, but then like the people that know about crypto, it gets smaller. Then NFTs, it gets even smaller, and then like crypto gaming.
And then you go to Wax,
and
then you go to Wax blockchain. It's even smaller.
It's even smaller. But listen, I think we're still really early, and I don't think the accessibility is fully there either. Because if you take a look at a lot of these games that were in the bull run, they were mainly focused on finance and like, oh hey, buy this token. It was more about the token than the game, which I think is starting to change now. You have a lot of AAA grade games that are coming out that are in the works, but we need something that's simple, easy to onboard into. A lot of these gamers, they don't know how to create a wallet. They don't know what a DEX is, how to swap Ethereum, go to Uniswap, swap for this random gaming token, put the contract in your MetaMask if it's not automatically there and searchable. There was a little bit of a barrier to entry. And I think the next bull run and the games that we're seeing come out now have a lot more to do with the game first and the NFTs and the tokens second.
There's a gamer who just heard that described and their brain melted though.
Exactly, but that was the problem before, and I think that's getting easier now.
Oh, well, Wendy, you are in the lead. Go ahead, Wendy, jump in.
Wait a second. The games we're creating in crypto are complete crap. We don't even.
They were terrible.
They're using stacks.
I think they're not great in the last bull run.
Wendy,
I think one of the issues too is gamers are a creature of habit. I'm a creature of habit too, and I like what I like when I like it, and I don't like any types of changes. And if I cannot play a game and know, like, if I have to do anything extra that requires me to self-custody NFTs or in-game assets or whatever that is, I don't want to play the game. It just is not going to be fun for me. I'm not going to like it. I want to be able to get on to play the game, no stress, no static, and we're just not quite there yet. Until you can actually participate in GameFi without knowing that you're using a blockchain or using a crypto asset or an NFT and it's just all done automatically, I don't want to play it. It doesn't make sense to me. It's a waste of time. So I totally get where the gamers are coming from.
Yeah, and if I'm playing Tetris, I just want the long skinny piece when I need the long skinny piece. That's all you got to do. I don't want to sign a wallet. And only those.
Can I say something?
Only
yeah, go ahead, and then we'll wrap it up.
When we make games in crypto right now, when we're making games in crypto right now, it's the equivalent of making a shitcoin on Binance. We're not really developing games. We're using ready-made stacks.
I would say it's more like trying to make a speedboat with steamboat technology. I would say that's where we're kind of at right now.
Guys,
But,
they're using I can't remember the word for it, but they're just using stacks that are already made and they're just putting them together. There's nothing original in crypto right now in games, nothing, zero.
Right. Well,
nada.
I'm bullish on Goombles. That
we
is a
can
shout out for you,
say-
Farmer. But we do got to wrap it up. It's been a
Wait,
great discussion.
No.
Gaming and crypto. Tom, you get the last word just because you like Litecoin.
All right.
Go ahead.
We can say that gamers hate, crypto, but they don't. Gamers are the people in the chat. Chat, how many games do you play? What
Great
do you
point.
play? You all do. We all do.
Yeah.
It's the GPU.
We're
thing. You're
lumping them
100%
together.
correct.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great point. I
Absolutely.
try not to generalize, and that's exactly what I'm being guilty of right now. So, you know what, Tom? You get an extra point, but Wendy still took it home. Wendy, feel free. I leave us with some parting thoughts. You always do a great job. So I appreciate you coming in today and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, guys. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe to Around the Blockchain. Great guys doing great stuff. Head over to my channel. You can find all my official socials at cryptowendy.com. I'm going to be, I may or may not be in Atlanta next week to do the podcast with Ben, my arch nemesis. So hopefully you guys watch that and you subscribe to that. But again, thank you to everybody who had me on. And if you guys have any crypto on centralized exchanges, please get it off and also understand how to safely and securely delete your coins. Do your due diligence before you just send coins over. Back up your cold storage device, all of that stuff. Bye-bye.
Stay SAFU, folks. Stay SAFU. That's all we got. Thank you for sticking around this long. Hit that like button. Until next time. We're out.